Peace, it's Farmer Courtney here, hitting the book. So, have something on my mind. I wanted to talk about How to Eat to Live, books 1 and 2, and being a vegan heretic. And this book, which I absolutely ran from for so long, Nourishing Traditions, and the formula shortage, right? So, what's going on with the formula shortage? We can see one way, right? Like, people can be freaking out about all the implications of that. And just wanted to put out there that, that also, as much as, the wicked are pulling these different strings and just putting on more pressure and trauma and strain and this and that God also has his hand over the whole situation. So what can we take out of these books? So, and the Vegan Heretic thing is because I was vegan for 4 pregnancies and 17 years, and I made a lot of mistakes, and I wanted to share what I learned. So, I was young when I first got exposed to veganism, which was the first nutrition that I ever really, studied, right? Like back in 1992, it wasn't really that much like study. It was a lot of theory. It was a lot of sounds good. It was a lot of hopeful, like wishful thinking. And had I just studied these books, I would have seen something different. In 1996, I started to hear about like the first manuscript of this book, and I was so offended by it. Like I just thought, oh no, because I was watching a bunch of people who were vegan and in the natural health space, like suddenly turn to cream and butter and making bone stock and all this stuff, and I honestly just didn't have the bandwidth to really listen to what they were saying, and I reacted emotionally. So anyway, I went through this whole long experience with not having enough milk for my twins for my 5th pregnancy when I had my daughters. And so in hindsight, I was able to learn from Dr. Maxwell Nardi, who's a symptometrist, that's kind of like, he is a doctor of homeopathy, but then he's kind of beyond it because his mind, he just went beyond it and like did his whole next science level to it. So when I was, trying to piece it together, when I first heard Dr. Nardi on Blog Talk Radio, I just was very impressed with the rapid fire intellect, how people could ask him all these health questions, and he just knit together all these things that I had never heard before and answered. And the reason why I was, kind of hanging on every word that he was saying was because he had been really talking about the navy bean and saying how the navy bean is the best bean, and he was saying all this food science stuff about the navy bean. So I thought, okay, in my effort, to reform my my mistakes of going on more emotional and theory, here's someone who's been in the food science laboratory, as he would say, and he has the proof, right? Like the facts, the information as to why he's saying this. And so I have it on recording. So I call on to Blog Talk Radio and I say, Dr. Nardi, why would a healthy young woman have 5 uneventful pregnancies, right? Like I had all these uneventful pregnancies. 4 of them I was vegan for. 4 uneventful pregnancies, or 4 pregnancies. Then suddenly, like my 4th baby wasn't that well nourished by my milk, and then I wasn't completely aware of it at the time. But then when I had my next pregnancy, my 5th pregnancy, I had twins, and then that's when I really was exposed of like, what is going on, so this might not be a video for the man, but anyway, I would nurse the babies together, and that was this intense thing. So you feel that throughout your whole body, right? The milk is letting down, and I would feel what I used to feel, and then there'd be like this like shutdown of the process. And so Dr. Nardi explained to me that because I ignorantly ate so much soy in my days of veganism, that I literally clogged my milk ducts, like I affected my milk glands. And like he explained it kind of like how, in heart disease, like how the arteries, like they slowly narrow. So he said that that's what I did to my milk ducts. Like because I was consuming so much soy, that I impacted the health of my milk ducts and my glands to be able to have everything flowing, right, at the speed of light, as he would say, internally, that like, so the process would start, crying baby, latching on, I would feel the milk let down, and then there was like between everything that was supposed to be going on, and the production of milk, that there was like all this buildup from soy in my breasts, in those milk ducts. And so he drops all this on me, and then he says, in his very thick Ghanaian accent, are you Asian? And I said, no, I'm not. No, sir. I'm not. He said, I didn't think so. I said, I'm a Caucasian. He's like, that's why. You don't have the enzyme to digest soy. You should leave soy alone. And again, I thought that was what I read in here all these years ago. And these books just whoop right over my head, right? I was very rebellious. Thought veganism, I just didn't see the fullness of the picture, because I was kind of like this unfinished project, kind of like, it was this random thing that I even came across the teachings, or maybe that's not the right language, right? People would say, no, that it was a blessing. It was all designed. But in my mind, it was, it was very intermittent and popcornish, and there was no disciplined way of study. It was like the time of life with all the children and everything. I just didn't I didn't fully understand what it even was in the in truth, like what I was studying when I was studying the teachings. Just there was one level of really elementary understanding that I had at 21, and then through the scope of time. And so when he explained all that to me, I just thought, oh my goodness, I've had these books on the shelf the whole time. And actually, this book, which if you've read it or these folks, and I've shared stuff from them before, they do love lard, and they're great. They love pasture raised pigs and things like that. And you can leave all that alone and still really benefit from what they're saying, because they're highlighting fat from the land, from pasture raised animals, which that's already highlighted. So we're instructed butter, right? So we're told leave the swine alone. You can still greatly benefit. And so why I'm talking about this, the formula shortage has it on my mind. So this vegan heretic term was because veganism was so I was so indoctrinated into it, that these books too, whoop, right over my head. I couldn't get it, even though all the pictures that you see on my account of the gorgeous vegetables, we every single spring get deliveries of black gold from Organic Valley farmers local to us of well-composted cow manure, and that's what makes our fields pop. So I just wasn't realizing the fullness of it. So after going through this whole experience of, being this pretty extra vegan chef, right? I could make everything vegan. I made beautiful birthday cakes. I cooked everything from scratch. I made replacements for this or that. There wasn't a birthday party that we went to or anywhere that we went to that I didn't have some sort of organic vegan tailgate going on. This was my thing. This is what I did. So, I did that for a long time. It was a big part of my identity. It was there was the indoctrination, but then it was also I had a place in that. It gave me, somewhere to kind of plug in the food issue. And in that time, for me, and where I, was coming from, even that seemed pretty radical to be doing all the food related stuff. So I would study the teachings kind of at night as a homeschooling mom with not anybody to talk to, and all the materials that I show and share and stuff. I didn't really know what I was doing. Like I said, I like the deep end, even though I don't totally understand it. So after going through that experience of being a hardcore vegan, cooking everything from scratch, which I still love to do, but you had to back then, because there really wasn't all the options that there are now. And so then I got new understanding for this book, that it's not only instructions from God himself in the person of Mustafa Muhammad, giving instructions specific for this time on what to eat. We're also told to grow our own food. So then from these books emerges this blueprint for the farm, because if you're going to eat those foods, then you're going to have to grow those foods. And I would see this really vivid picture of all of the assembly of how you would structure a farm so that you could have these these foods. And so this is kind of long, pardon me. I did do a podcast on it. It's called Vegan Heretic. That's also 45 minutes long. But there's not really a quick and easy way. I'm going to keep it under 15 minutes, pardon. But so here's what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has to say to us about milk and babies, right? Because some people will ignorantly just, or emotionally just like snap back. And not that breastfeeding isn't highly valued and super important. But if you have a crying, hungry infant, that conversation's for another time. How are you going to feed your baby in this hour, in 2 hours, in 4 hours? Let's have a real practical conversation about milk and babies. So, and then I might do another one because there's a lot in this paragraph. So a sick mother's milk is better for her baby than healthy cow's milk or any animal's milk. You may give your babies cow's milk, but if you can breastfeed them yourself, which is interesting how he wrote that, if you can breastfeed them yourself as nature intended, then you should do so. You will have a healthier baby and a baby who will love you. When a baby is nursed on cow's milk, the baby may love the cow more than he loves you. And then he wrote smile in parentheses as like the forerunner for how we use emojis. Eat good food so that you will be able to give your baby good, pure milk. You can drink cow's milk. Your own milk glands will be put into the right stage for your child. Be careful as to what kinds of drugs you take while nursing your baby. And do not take fast while you're breastfeeding an infant or even while you're pregnant. And so, what I went from being this hardcore, passionate home cook vegan to then the mom with the van full of children traveling in like a 5-county area trying to figure out like who would sell me a couple gallons of pure cow's milk from well taken care of cows so I could make the baby formula. At this time, I didn't own these books, but I found online, thehealthyhomeeconomist.com, Sarah Pope. She talks about the formula. They have all the evidence on their websites as far as like the nutritional breakdown, the feeding of children and babies and nourishment, and like a whole gallery of pictures of people nourished on the milk, and just lots and lots of science and data on nourishing babies. And so you might want to, check it out. And so also what really hit me was, thank God that, all the veganism theory and like vegan rhetoric hadn't gained even more ground than it already has, because if we lose the connection to having well-raised cows on farms as a source of nutrition, yes, the babies and people who really need that nutrition will be at a loss. And it's not something that you can quickly make up as far as like the diversity of your herd and doing all that. Like farming is in actuality nothing like these children's books and stories of farms and this nonsense level stuff that we were all, put into the mindset of, that it's just sort of like this easy frolic kind of thing. And you just like show up out, and like it's very cyclical, it's very difficult, and you have to commit to the process, and there's a lot of trial and error. And when you screw up, it's almost a year sometimes until you can recover those losses, and it's just so much. So I am just so deeply grateful. So I'm doing this post as part of my 67 posts of appreciation for the celebration of the birth anniversary of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his 67 years of service for the Nation of Islam as a teacher, leader, and guide for all of humanity. So if you want to learn more about the books and different things I mentioned, you can DM me and ask me about the book list that I wrote, and I'll send it to you, or you can leave a comment below. Either way, all right, until next time, Farmer Courtney, peace.